My name is Jane Rands. I'm a software engineer and I've lived in Fullerton since 2006. So I volunteered with groups like Fullerton Beautiful when they do their annual fundraiser for Fullerton College. Also volunteer at the Arboretum. I've recently become a volunteer with the Friends of the Fullerton Library at the bookstore. People who are residents in this town do not feel that they're being represented. They don't understand why our city council votes the way they do on a number of issues. We need to balance our efforts and the use of our staff and our scarce city funds for what really benefits our community, people who live here, people who are invested in this community. This is a great town because it's easy to get to know people, and there's so many opportunities for knowing people socially. For instance, the Art Walk is this great social event, and people come here from other counties and other cities, and they're just amazed. I was at the market last night and inviting people to the candidate forum on the 29th, and so many people that said, "Oh no, I'm not a resident of Fullerton, but gosh, I wish I was." Some of the big issues also besides those major infrastructure needs are the impact of outside developers. They're asking for higher and higher densities and reduced parking. Well, that shouldn't be what's driving our planning. Planning should be, what do we need in our community? Not just paving roads, but making our sidewalks, street, our crosswalks safe for pedestrians, making the streets, designing them appropriately for all users, including cyclists and pedestrians and people with disabilities. And it just frustrates the heck out of me. Like, shouldn't that be like a major priority? The people who have the biggest needs should be prioritized first, over some outside developer coming in. They're individuals, and so I kind of don't want to call them out, but frankly, I think my largest contribution is $300. The only role really of city council is to represent the people in the city. I should never be prioritizing an outside interest. There's no other purpose for your city council than to benefit the residents of the city. I live in downtown Fullerton, and we pretty much have had zero representation on that council. So I looked at district elections as being a great opportunity to have representation throughout the city. Last year, I was an advocate for district elections in Fullerton based on that map that's been selected and it's bundled in for the ballot measure II. I'm opposed to the district elections. It was just horrendous that we would have a majority, an absolute solid majority on this council willing to disenfranchise the entire downtown community. Yeah, preserving it as 100% open space. And I can't see why anyone wouldn't do everything they could to make it happen. Because if it doesn't happen, that's it. It's over. There's no other chance. I know that some people make the argument that if we build enough of this overpriced high-density housing that at some point the price point will come down. Okay, that's a great pile of ifs, but the reality is the housing that's being built now is way overpriced and it's not fulfilling the needs for people in our community. People that are spending that much money on the rent that goes outside of our community, okay, it's not coming here, it's going outside of our community, then have pennies left to spend here in town, and so that helps support the community, with the local economy. So I'm seeing those big high rises as a drain on our economy locally. So the main thing I'm really pushing for, and that is decriminalizing homeless people. We have a law on our books here in the city of Fullerton where people are ticketed for sleeping in public. The indignity, I'm sorry, I'm going to cry right now, of somebody who doesn't have a place to lay their head indoors. The police officer can walk up to them in the middle of the night, tap them on their knee with a billy club and say, "Move along or I'll ticket you." It's inhumane. What ends up happening to many people is there ends up being a warrant for their arrest, and all for the crime of not having a house, not having a place to sleep indoors at night. I still think that there's a need for civilian oversight, if anything, for the victims, so they have a safe place to go. We haven't had a council that would support civilian police oversight. What they have supported is the Chief's Advisory Committee, which is behind closed doors. We don't know when they meet. We don't know what they talk about. The agendas aren't public. There's no minutes. So as far as accountability, I feel like it's still behind closed doors. I did a PR public records request, asked for the tax revenue specifically of the bars, and she said, "Oh no, I can't do that. But I can give you for all the businesses in that area." So then you would expect it to be even a little higher, right? $600,000 of tax revenue in 1 year. I can tell you right now, the amount of policing and cleanup that it takes for downtown far exceeds $600,000. So the idea that it's somehow justified or beneficial to the community to have, I'm going to say this and don't edit it out, the vomit fest and the peeing in public and everything else, we get along with that. It's not worth it. What do you do about that? Well, number one, the first thing the council should do is stop issuing more liquor licenses. The other thing we need to do is enforce the conditional use permits. It's the only way to start curbing back either the behaviors or the attractive nuisances that occur from the bars, or even be able to take away liquor licenses from people who, if they're not complying with those conditional use permits. Because I will represent them, and I will listen to them, and I will respect them. As I knock on doors and talk to people, the problem isn't trying to convince someone to vote for me. Its problem is trying to convince them to even vote at all. Because from their experience over the years, they think it doesn't matter. Because when they've come to the city council, sometimes with positive recommendations like, "Wow, I'm excited, I have a solution, I can help you." It's like they're talking to people who've turned their hearing aid down. Where I get excited when I see people working with their neighbors and organizing on a common goal. Communication and listening and respect for the community is what we need on our council.